What up YouTube? It's your boy ABC Delicious. I'm back yet again with another video. So recently I went to see a movie with some of my friends called Dark Phoenix. So I'm gonna do my best to make this a spoiler-free video just in case you guys wanna go check it out. But I will say it's interesting. Growing up, me and my brother, we would go to the comic book store once a week and probably plunk down maybe like 20 bucks. And the interesting thing is, X-Men was probably one of my favorite comic books, or the favorite comic book of mine, of my childhood. That and like Wolverine. But now it's interesting, now when you talk about the movie experience, I feel like X-Men has kind of, they started out pretty strong with Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart, you know, playing the central figures. But then these reboots, because eventually, spoiler alert, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine character died and they had to reboot the series. So it's interesting because the new reboot launched a lot of up-and-coming actors or actresses. You have Jennifer Lawrence before she got big. You have Michael Fassbender, James McAvoy, and others. So it's interesting to see their growth. And then I think now they must be, some of them, because they're big A-list stars, they must be a little bit tired of the franchise. So I feel like the last one, Age of Apocalypse, wasn't really a big fan of that. Didn't really like that one. So I came in expecting, I don't know what to expect. It was basically everything else I approach in life, which is expect the worst and hope for the best. Now, they had a hard act to follow because especially after Avengers Endgame, which I saw 2 times, I can continue to see, I wouldn't even mind seeing it again. I think the new Avengers is supposed to release. I don't know if it's going to release in Taiwan with some additional stuff after the credits. I would be down to go see that probably as well. And so fair or unfair, X-Men has kind of been, especially with this recent MCU, which started in what, 2008 with Iron Man. They've been kind of the redheaded stepchild. No offense to redheads out there, I love you guys. But, so I don't know. Anyway, again, I don't want to spoil too much of the movie. I would say, as an avid comic book nerd back in the day, they took some liberties because if you read the comics, there's a certain thing that happens, like how she becomes Dark Phoenix. It's because comic book nerds out there, please correct me, I'm getting old. I believe one of the mutants was like messing with his mind, the guy who could control minds, part of the Hellfire Club, and then basically they kept effing with her and making her Jean Grey, who becomes, I could say Jean Grey becomes Dark Phoenix. That's not a huge spoiler, it's in the trailer itself. But they kind of mess with her and eventually she just snaps and then she becomes Dark Phoenix, and it becomes a big thing because they can't, it was Mastermind, I believe, was the one messing her out with her. But then eventually, once she attains these powers, she becomes crazy powerful and just uncontrollable, which is kind of what the movie suggests, but they don't do that part. I'm not going to spoil that, but they don't do the Hellfire Club really at all. So, unbeknownst, she gets these powers, but like in a different way. Now, I feel the story itself is kind of meh, it's kind of blah, but I'm going to be quite honest, when I go see these movies, especially Marvel movies, I'm not really, I mean, a great story will be good, and sometimes they deliver it, but I think I'm in there for like the swag factor, you know, like the hashtag like OMG, right? So if you could ignore the mediocre story and you just go in and you just want like to see some action scenes and mutants going crazy and stuff, I think you're gonna enjoy this. Especially, they do a lot of the, I always think it's interesting to be an actor. I'm not an actor, I don't know how, I can't act or emote for crap, but I just like the idea of like every movie they have to do like the, like it's like the and then there's like, that's not enough. So in this movie they have to do like the 2-handed like and it's all green screen. So I just think it's hilarious that the actors probably have to spend like, who knows, minutes or hours doing that. But there's a lot of that, or a lot of like the like you know, like send someone over flying, which I, as a nerd, I do appreciate. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff. If you're seeing all the different powers and stuff, I think you'll quickly enjoy it. So, wow, I've been ranting for 5 minutes. Okay, as far as the performances in the movie, now, forgive me if I don't say the actual actor's name. That means I didn't do good research or you're not big enough for me to know you on a first name basis. But anyway, Michael Fassbender as Magneto. I think whatever role he's playing taps into it. He's really good as Magneto. But in this movie, it's interesting. I'm not gonna spoil it, but basically, he's not the villain this time. He's trying to be a good guy, but it's like sometimes old habits die hard. I'll put it like that. So I think he did his role really good. James McAvoy, he's a good actor. Okay, but just kind of weird as a shaved head guy and as nothing against you bald guys out there, but just he's a little bit off. But he does a pretty good job. Jennifer Lawrence. I'm surprised she keeps coming back to these movies because she's like an A-lister getting like, I assume like 20 million a picture, but she's in there, she does a pretty good job. The guy, I forgot. The guy who plays Beast or Hank McCoy, James McCoy or something, I don't remember his name, but he was also a fun-loving zombie in Warm Bodies. Like he did a pretty good job too. He had to express a gamut of emotions and I thought he did that in a pretty good job. I always think like with actors, what Bill Simmons used to say, like a boxing ring, who was able to in the ring with like the 8 top stars and not be blown off the screen? Who else? Alexandra Shipp, not familiar with her work. She plays Storm. I like her portrayal as Storm, so she doesn't get, as in my opinion, as much screen time as the others, but for what time she has, she's able to create an impression. She kind of looks like Storm, so that was good. Let's see here. The guy. Man, I should know this guy because he was in a big blockbuster. The guy who was the main character in Ready Player One. He plays Cyclops, which is kind of, it's like not really the most juiciest role. You have to put a freaking huge visor on your head. You just have to kind of be Jean Grey's like boyfriend in the movie. Like he doesn't do too much in the movie, but for what scenes, again, in my opinion, he does okay. He doesn't get blown off the screen by, who I'll bring the next person, Sophia Turner, who is pretty good. Like obviously everyone knows her from Game of Thrones. She does a pretty good Jean Grey. It does okay, because in the movie, once she gets the power, she can't control it, so she has to play a mix of being scared, but then also being like a badass and like having the power and just going nuts on people. So I think she did a good job of that, playing the fragility as well as just be like, I don't give a F. It's like WTF moment. Do you know what I mean? Besides that, the other guys who's in the movie, the guy who plays Nightcrawler, again, forgive me. I think whoever the cast as Nightcrawler actually looks like Nightcrawler in real life. So that's a very interesting. Nightcrawler was like a blue devil in the comic books, but very charming. So I think whoever played him did a pretty good job. Who else? I think that's it for the main people, right? Quicksilver. Doesn't really look like Quicksilver to me, like even a young Quicksilver, but I think he's able to tap into that. Quicksilver, he's always the coolest because they get to do that like slow motion. He's just like around. Everything he sees is in slow motion. It was actually very interesting. I remember reading X Factor comic book when he was in X Factor, because Quicksilver has this reputation of being a dick, basically. No nicer way to say it. But then he explains it because he's doing a therapy session, and he explains like the guy asked him like, why are you so impatient and kind of an a-hole? And he was just like, imagine a world where like everything you do, people are going really slow. You're waiting in line for the ATM, you're going shopping, you're doing stuff, and everybody is going so slow. Wouldn't you be impatient or kind of surly? And like I never thought about that because you just think of him as like going really fast, he's a speedster, but actually, yeah, everything around him is moving very, very slow. So for him to interact with people on a daily basis, it must be very grating or annoying for him. Besides that, like I said before, like all the characters, they do a pretty good job. If this is the last movie, I don't know if it's going to be as pleasing or as gratifying as, let's say, Avengers Endgame. I hate to compare it to that, but that's like basically the gold standard right now. But if you want a couple hours just to kind of escape and nerd out, see people like vroom, vroom, I think you won't be disappointed. And as a Marvel guy, maybe I'm a little bit more compassionate or my standards aren't as high, but I think definitely if you're an X-Men fan, go check it out, especially if you like Dark Phoenix, if you like. But would I go out and spend your hard-earned money on this? If you're a casual fan or you don't know much about X-Men, probably not. But again, on a scale of 1 to 10, what am I gonna give it? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, maybe I give it like a 6, a 7, but again, that's my own bias. Other people might be not as loving of the franchise or the chronology, if you will. Yeah, that's about it. And I look forward to bringing you new content. And if you enjoyed this video, you could be a big help by liking, commenting, or subscribing down below. I do check all the comments. I have no life. I don't have as many viewers. I'm trying to build it up. And until the next video, peace!